Welcome to the live stream. Hope everyone is having a fantastic Tuesday. We'll get started in just a second. Give a moment for viewers to pile in. All right, so welcome. I'm excited to jump into another live stream. It's been a while since I've done these properly. So this is going to be for an hour and a half, and I'm really excited because the previous track that I wrote late last week was a battle track in the style of Bloodborne. A lot of you liked that, and so I thought I'd show you a bit more. The client loved it so much that they said, hey, we're already going to be hiring a live hurdy-gurdy player, a live lute player, a live hammered dulcimer player, an accordion player, and live strings. So what the heck? Let's go all the way and let's write two of these suckers. And so I agreed. And so now we're working on the second 4-minute track. Very similar style, but when I was having this conversation with the client, he specifically said, let's be honest, he said, just do more of the same. But I kind of, as a creative, as an artist, I said, well, I loved working on the first one, but I think I can do more. And as we talked a little bit further, he mentioned that the hurdy-gurdy player in particular is not just some random person who can, a beginner trying to figure out this medieval instrument, but he's actually like the best hurdy-gurdy player in the world, or one of the best. And so I said, aha, so there's our ticket. So the idea for this second track is not to just write something that uses a little bit of hurdy-gurdy, but to actually feature it and to write some virtuosic music that only the best players in the world can actually play. So for those who don't know about the hurdy-gurdy, I certainly didn't know a lot, but I've done a little bit of research since. It's a medieval string instrument that it has a drone, kind of like a bagpipe, and it holds a note on the bottom. So, I actually have one, a sample here I can pop over to my screen. So it usually holds a note like this, a drone, and then it plays higher notes on top with the fingers. And so basically the player is turning a wheel to create the bowed string of the drone. And then the other hand is reaching, I guess it's the right hand, so their left hand is reaching across, kind of like an accordion has keys. And like a keyboard, you're just flying with your fingers. So you can kind of play whatever your fingers can play. So my idea is to kind of do that kind of thing. Let me show you what I can see. You can see my hands here. Nope, not that one. That one. Hey, OBS. For all my live streaming friends out there, I have like 20 different screen options here. So you can kind of get all the fun views. But the idea is to take this hurdy-gurdy and to do something really fun with it and to make it a prominent feature instrument, to write a 4-minute track around it. And the last track I did was really slow. It was at 80 something, maybe even just 80 BPM. So I wanted to increase the speed on this one and play around with some time signature changes like 7/8 instead of all in 4/4, and to just explore these instruments more. So what was unique about this track last time, this template, I do want to use the same template, is I mixed a lot of uncommon pairings of instruments. So I didn't just take, a string orchestra with brass and woodwinds and, a traditional sound. But instead, I'm trying to take these medieval instruments, make them really soloistic, but also use instruments in unusual ways. So a lot of this has violin in it. And so I just recorded my own violin. I did coligno wooden taps with the bow, done a lot of glissando, that kind of stuff. The tremolo, which is where you're bowing really fast, and that kind of stuff just gives you a lot more texture in the background to create that horror landscape. But on top of that, I wanted to still feature those instruments. The cello, as I talked about in the last stream, the cello is going to be a live cellist, a solo player, but I'm also going to ask them to record a second line with a pitch shifter, with a pitch pedal that knocks it down an octave. And even though you might say, but why don't you just hire a double bass player? Well, in this case, first of all, it's cheaper, just from a financial standpoint, to get the same player, go ahead and play the same line twice, but just pitch shift it. But it also creates a different timbre, a different tone than a bass player, because a bass has a really fat, rich, warm sound on the low end, but a cello, when you pitch shift it, has a little bit more of a growl. Kind of like that. So that way, when you double the two of them, playing the same line but in octaves, it has more growl, a little bit more grit behind it, and it's unusual. And I just like to play with things like that. Chance in the audience says there's a video on the Hurdy-Gurdy that does a super good job of explaining it. If I remember correctly, what did you say? It's Into the Rabbit Hole video. Yeah. So man, anytime you play around with medieval instruments, you're going to find some weird stuff on YouTube. So let's get to it. Let me show you what I have so far. I would love to finish this track today. So far, I have about 2 minutes-ish. And I'm trying to make it 4 minutes. And I'm going to be totally transparent and honest here that my biggest difficulty as a composer to this day, 15, 16 years into this thing, I don't even know how long I've been doing this now. My biggest struggle is developing ideas. I'm really good at coming up with fresh ideas, like a quick little melody, a quick ostinato, a quick harmony, something. That's usually 4 to 8 bars, but I have a really hard time making it long. And so my default is to create a bunch of 8-bar phrases and then glue them all together in interesting ways. But I've hit a bit of a roadblock on this track because you can only do that for so long before you get tired of changing. And I preach so heavily this idea of don't be repetitive. But if you're not repetitive at all in your music, then you're going to run the opposite problem of confusing the listener. And unfortunately, amateur composers, people who have not been doing it very long or don't do it professionally, they do it as a hobby, they definitely fall into that trap a lot of throwing too many ideas into a track, and you don't get a chance to explore any of them a little bit more. So that's definitely my goal here today. I have so much content already in 2-ish, 3 minutes that it would be really stupid of me to try to create another minute of new music, because there's so much good content in here that my goal today is to actually be more of an arranger, to take what I have but elongate it into 4 minutes. So I was talking with the client yesterday. This was kind of my rough draft. It's not done, but I sent him like the first 2 minutes or so. And already he had great feedback. He said, I love what you have. This last minute needs to go, because like I said, I put too many ideas into one piece. And my last 2 ideas, because I have an A, B, C, D sections so far, and an E section. So I had an F and a G section, and so they didn't even fit with the piece at all. He's like, let's nix those, but why don't you take the B section and make it the A section? Why don't you take the previous A section and make it the final section? So I'm glad that, when you get with clients who have musical skills, it's really nice. That's not normal, but man, it just makes for some really creative collaborations, because they can talk about form and structure and things that non-musicians don't. So I'm very fortunate to have a client that, in this case, can talk like that. But you can kind of see right here, it's a bunch of empty space that I need to fill in, but I don't want to write new material. I want to actually reuse old material and make it fresh. But I took his suggestion, and what I did is I took the original A section, put it here at the end, and then put my loop bar, because it needs to be a loop, a 4-minute loop, because the client intends to repeat this 4 or 5 times, like 15 to 20 minutes in length. That's kind of, by the way, for those who want to make money writing music, one of the best ways to sell a client is to take their problem and solve it in a way that is budget friendly. So instead of saying, hey, I'll write 20 minutes of custom music, that they don't actually need, you could say, all right, 4 minutes, and you can loop it 5 times. And that cuts down the budget significantly, but it allows you to use the budget more wisely. In this case, live instruments, and it's a quicker turnaround, all that kind of stuff, right? A 20-minute track, ugh, I don't even want to do that. Like 1 track, that just sounds crazy. I'd much rather write this that loops. So anyway, enough talking. Let's jump. I want to actually jump to, I want to show you the beginning, and then I want to show you the end and how it's going to loop. That way we know how to fill in the middle. So here we go. Here's the beginning. Cool, then it kind of does its thing, right? We keep going from there. But notice how I just started high energy. And that's what the client wanted, is high energy the whole time. My mistake was that I started really small, kind of like maybe in an epic trailer, and I got big, but that's not really what they wanted. They wanted to start big, so that's why it makes sense to start with the big drum, start with all the tremolo strings and whatever. Here's what I originally had, and what will now be the end. That will loop back into the beginning, which is going to be a very nice and easy loop cut. Pretty cool, and I like that. I think it's going to be a cool way to calm down at the end of the track and then ramp back up with that da, I guess it's dulcimers, da 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 da, right? It just kind of propels you back into it. And hey, welcome Tiago and the others that are currently watching and listening. I appreciate you. If you're here in the live video, say hi. I know a lot of you can't make the lives all the time, so I'd love to see who's here. Most of you listen on the replay. That's cool too. I know it's, in my time, it's 10:30 a.m. on a Tuesday morning, so a lot of people are out working, and that's okay. Okay, anyway, let me kind of show you what else I have to work with. So we have this big powerful intro, then we go to the B section. right, so that's kind of where I'm at right now. I'm trying to figure out, okay, where the heck do I go from there? Because that is, if you can see at the bottom here, that's only 2 minutes long. So I have to do double that. So I have a lot of great material, and I don't want to fall into the trap of just having to constantly create new. I would rather elongate what I currently have. So let's walk through that together. I can already tell that this loot thing that I wrote, and I did all this over the course of 2 days so far. This type of writing takes me a lot more time and energy than a standard like 1 minute loop or 2 minute loop, but because 4 minutes is so much music, and you really want to craft it well. And let's be honest, these are instruments that I don't usually write for, and I don't have the crutch like I talked about last time. I don't have the crutch of just walking into a massive plugin or an Omnisphere patch or Zebra or something electronic and creating a synth. Nothing is allowed to be a synth in this. It all has to be real instruments that can be played by live musicians. And the ones that I can play, I will go ahead and play. So for example, I have my horror harp that I've already recorded a bunch, which sits behind me. You can kind of see it down here. That I just go, right? And it makes that creepy sound. We talked about that last time. I did add a new instrument, my spirit bells. These things are awesome. You can get them for like $10. They're just these little bells. It's amazing. You put some reverb and some Valhalla shimmer, which is like a chorused reverb. You could add so much environment and atmosphere with just some bells. I also have my wooden flute, which I've played quite a bit. It just gives like a little that kind of sound. Like in between sections, it just kind of adds some atmosphere. I have my tambourine, and this is, I never really valued tambourine too much, but it adds such humanity where my samples can't. So my samples, I'm basically using an Armageddon ensemble, which is a damage patch, which is cool. Let me pull it up so I can actually listen to it. I don't know why it's not working. I just called it hand drums in this one. Let's see what he's doing. Yeah, it's working. There we go. Like, it's cool, but it sounds like a sample, right? Even though I've EQ'd it and stuff, I have these deeper drums, sub hits, and you layer that together, and it sounds good. And even like a section, let me see if I can find tambourine. So let's just like listen to these three together. It sounds cool. It's missing the high end, and it's missing close mic, because those are far mics. They're, you know, people playing drums in these big halls and stuff with the samples, but just taking a basic tambourine. Right? So simple, but it adds so much flavor. And I think what it adds is humanity. It adds mistakes, because not every one of those is perfect. It's a groove, and I might choose to quantize it, I might not, but the idea is it's just someone grooving on percussion, and that adds so much depth and energy. And again, tambourines, like any little percussion instrument, they're less than $20. So you can add these to your arsenal over time. You can add so much depth that will go so much further than just picking up another, like a tambourine sample instrument is kind of worthless. I'd rather have the real thing and just record it and have so much flexibility with it, you know? And hey, Maximilian, they say, sounds like trailer drums. Yeah, it does. I write a lot of trailers, so I'm used to that style, but this is a little bit more fantasy based. I don't really want it to sound like a trailer necessarily. But anyway, all that stuff added together helps a lot. So let's get to the actual arranging here. I'm trying to solve this in my head. I do like this final section that I added. So let me rename that E. And honestly, I think the solution here is to get rid of this new stuff. Yeah, that's wrong. It's like too Indian sounding. So let me just get rid of that. And sometimes just a blank canvas is the easiest thing to work with. Meaning, in this case, blank, it's not actually blank, it's just, this is a blank section that I need to fill. Let's just get rid of that. Let's actually see what we need to fill. So let's do a little bit of math here. So I do math all the time when I'm looking at music, of like what needs to be composed. Cool. So we have 2 minutes and 12 seconds. I need to get all the way over here. So it's not quite, it's not that much. It's like a minute and a half, almost exactly. Yeah, it's a minute and 30 seconds. So bar wise, if I could extend each of these sections by only 25%, that would make up the difference. So let's do a little bit more math here. So we have 8-bar phrases. I'm telling you, that's my issue. I like to write 8-bar phrases and move on, but this 8-bar phrase could be 16 bars, and I could have a whole lot more success with this. So the easy way to do this, if you've ever had to do this kind of surgery in your music, select all, grab your scissors. It doesn't matter what DAW you're in. Actually, I'm going to cut it, but before I can do that, this is an annoying but also an awesome feature in Cubase. That's Cubase specific. It's this little glue bar, this glue tool. What it does is it merges, I don't want to merge my audio together, but it merges MIDI sections together across the entire track into one MIDI region, which is really helpful when you're like exporting MIDI tracks and stuff. But essentially, like, you can click in one spot, you can double click or triple click, and it'll actually do the entire track. So the reason I do that is now I can, I'm on PC, so Control A on PC, Command A on Mac to select all, and then just go over here, I'll hold Alt. You can do this in any DAW, and you chop it like that. And now I can take this B section, and notice how everything after it is also already good to go. But I will do the same thing. I'm going to chop the end. And it's a little bit of musical editing, a little bit of surgery here. And so right at 69, do the same thing. And now I actually have a little chunk that I can erase. I got to be really specific here. Let me go ahead and, this is why markers are so valuable. So this part, I'm just going to call it end, because I don't really know what section it's going to be. The idea is to take this and just do a little bit of chopping. Now I can take all of that and it's gone. And you see all that blank space? So now it's a pretty clean area. It's a canvas that I can move stuff around in. Zoom out, just click and drag whatever I need to. And because everything is chopped perfectly, I just can kind of click and drag anywhere and it'll collect everything. And I can also select my markers and drag them with me. So I'm going to do exactly that. I'm going to make that the A section. And what this is doing is it's forcing me into limitations. It's forcing me into a structure. It's giving me borders, essentially. So let's say you're a painter and you have a blank canvas, but at least you know what size the canvas is. It's not like it's a mural. You know, it's not an 8.5 by 11 sheet of paper. You know, it's a canvas. So you know that that's your 4 minutes of music. But if you were to go through and actually create more borders inside of it, it just kind of gives you exactly where the art needs to exist. And I'll try to answer some questions here while I'm tinkering around. Let's see, we've got a question from Rashad, who says, my question is that I was looking at East-West Composer Cloud as a good start. I have a budget and I already have complete, but I want to expand. How do you feel about East-West? Do not waste your money. The end. It's not the future. I invest in the future. I don't invest in the past. East-West is absolutely the past. It is 20 years old, maybe even older now. East-West is a dead company. Sorry. They have been spending the last 7 years trying to milk their old products without creating new ones. They are DOA, dead on arrival. Stop wasting your money on East-West products. The end. invest in Contact, because Contact is the future. It is increasingly the future. Everyone jumps on Contact. I'm glad you have Complete, because that means that you have Contact as one of the plugins. Contact is the future because you get to create your own samples in there, and anyone can use it, both consumers and the businesses who create sample instruments. So it's kind of a no-brainer. I would go that direction. Do not waste your money on East-West. Even the Composer Cloud, which has a lot of instruments in it, but it absolutely destroys your computer because it's so heavy. The files are enormous. Even with my computer, which is pretty top of the line for what any indie composer needs. I say it's not really top of the line, but it's 64 gigs of RAM and quad core. Got my 3 monitors and I have like 7 drives. I have a lot going on with my system, and I don't need any of that. And even I don't even think I could run all of the Composer Cloud. I could run it without being choppy, whatever. But anyway, I just don't think it's valuable. I'd much rather you spend your $30 on a tambourine, if I could be honest. I'd rather you invest in things that are permanent, invest in things that are forever, that actually improve your musicality or improve your production skills. Massive by Native Instruments is such a good purchase. But yeah, you guys can duke it out in the chat. I can see you starting that conversation. Anyway, see, man, I'm such a guy. Guys think that they can multitask. They can't. It's a lie. See what I did? I stopped and then answered your question. I don't know if I can do both at the same time, but I'll try. Anyway, we got our B section here. Let's do the same thing. So essentially, I'm just chopping things up now to try and fit. So I'm going to go over here to, I'm going to zoom in a little bit. Let's chop up the C section there. And let's bump him a little while. So that's 17 to 32. So that's basically a 16 bar. So 2, 4, 6, 8, 2, 4, 6, 8. So yeah, let's just double it. It's scary, but 2, 4, 6, 8, 2, 4, 6, 8, right there. Very scary, but you can kind of see what I'm doing. I'm creating the borders. It's gonna make this thing successful. Ooh, I see what I did. This 7/8 is taken over. Let me see what this is. Yeah. A little tricky. Let's see if I can figure this out. Solve the puzzle. Basically, I'm trying to take 2, 4, 6, 8, 2, 4, 6, 8. Right there. So for anyone, this is where my brain is at right now. For anyone who thinks composing is all fun and games, I'm sorry. There are boring moments just like this. And I've spent a lot of time in studios of other composers where I've just sat and watched. And they do this kind of junk too. It doesn't matter who you are. You could be one of the, AAA composers, and there's so much editing involved. It's not all composing all the time. So apologize for the boredom here. I hope it, opens your eyes a little bit to, wow, I guess everyone does this stuff. Yeah. All right, let's figure out where that 7/8 bar needs to go. Okay. The fun stuff is going to be once I start to elongate the music. So this is a little messed up because that 7/8 bar. There we go. So same thing applies. I just need to go in here and chop and move. I do this a lot with film scores, by the way. Anyone who's done film scoring, sometimes the director sends you a new cut and it has 7 more seconds in it, or a whole minute more in the scene, and you have to do this kind of editing where you select everything, you chop, and you move it to exactly where it needs to go. Let's see. And thank you guys for being helpful to one another in the live chat. I can't answer all your questions, but I try. I appreciate you guys jumping in. All right, so there is that section. These time signatures are kind of just gonna have to follow me. So you kind of see with my C section, I'm trying to double that in length. So 2, 4, 6, 8, 2, 4. Interesting. So I didn't even finish a full phrase. Not that you have to, but so at least that much. Like that would even make it 8 bars. And look, isn't that cool? You kind of see look how close we are to reaching our goal. So at this point, it doesn't make any sense to copy or elongate any more sections except for this one. Because this 7/8 thing, it's cool, but if it's too repetitive, not cool. So let's turn this into an 8-bar phrase instead of a 2-bar. See what I did? Because it's actually 2 plus 6. Now it was just the 6. So if turned 6 into 8. But each of these also represents 2 bars. So it's double that, whatever, 16. So this is going to be the 7/8 section right here. And then 2, 4. I like the way that I'm stacking it. And for anyone interested, I have, I was watching some videos this morning, just trying to learn some things about minimalism. And I learned a lot about minimalism back in my college days, but I never identified myself as someone who writes minimalistic music. And yet every one of the descriptions of minimalism I do, which is heavily based on ostinatos. It's heavily based on simplistic writing that you layer and you do a lot of unison, a lot of that kind of thing. And I'm like, dang, I guess I am. So I just discovered that today. That was cool. No one's ever said that about me, but I now recognize it in my own music, that it's everywhere, which is interesting because I don't write music in large phrases. I don't think of long melodies. I actually think of music in very small units. Like I guess like Beethoven in a sense. I really identify with Beethoven's music a lot. He's my favorite classical composer because he wrote in motifs. He really got used to 3 or 4 note writing and turning a little itty bitty unit into something much larger. So that's kind of what I think, kind of what I'm doing today. I'm taking small things, turning them into big things. So here's the puzzle. We have the 7/8 section. I don't want to mess with that because I do think that this is kind of a fun thought. When you use odd time signatures like 7s and 5s, they feel cool because the rest of the piece is in something normal, like 4 or 3, right? So what's interesting is you don't want to screw with it too much. If you do too much odd stuff, it becomes the expectation to be odd. So if you're using odd meters, kind of let it be its own special moment, but then get away from it. So that's why I don't want to do more than the 8, 2, 4, 6, 8. Yeah, the 8 bars here. I do to make sure I jump back into a 4/4 time. That way we're out of it, and it has this is a loop, remember? So that's like 30 seconds. I don't want it to be more than that. So here we are, back to the E section, and yeah, I'll just do that. I'll finish out that phrase until we hit over here. Let me line up this, and we should be good. Because look, notice how my little looper bar even got screwed up because of the 7/8 bar. So now I'm just going to take everyone, move them over, and now there we go. That should work. And my goal is to take this E section and like have it keep going really till here. I'll call that the end. And this little gliss, this is really just going to be like a transition moment into that final section. And I'll call it an outro just for simplicity here. That's basically it. So now the entire track has obviously room to grow, but you kind of see how it now makes sense. And now I know exactly what to do. And the best part about this type of organizing is I know that anything that I write will fit and anything that I write will be approved by the client. That's pretty cool. It's exactly like film scoring. If you can line up all your markers to all the sync points of where actions happen and dialogue happens, you're going to win and the client's going to like it. So yay. So now let's figure out how to do that. So my thought process here is this is the max, right? So this right here, this A section, this is with everyone playing at the same time. So if you start with everyone, it's not going to be as exciting and you can't sustain that for 16 bars. So instead, I'm going to copy this. Watch how fast this is. This is kind of scary. I think if directors and if our clients knew about this, they might not be as impressed. But to give you a composer hack, you ready? I do this all the time. Boom. Oh, well, trying to do it. Alt and release. There we go. Okay, let's do it again. Take him. There we go. Man, this is like blasphemy. But guess what? Bach did this. Beethoven did this. Mozart did this. John Williams does this. Hans Zimmer does this. All right, this is nothing new. This is what every human has done. It's a little beautiful thing called copy and paste. However, I'm not gonna copy it verbatim. I am gonna go through and remove some layers and build, and that way each section starts minimalistic and grows, and then goes to a new section, then grows. That's dynamic contrast. That's what we need. So the C section, notice how I already had a little build here. So this part, let's see, I need 1, 2, 3, 4. This part, probably the best way to do that is going to be to just take 4 more bars and copy them over, like the last 4 bars that I was using. Ooh, I have to jump in here. I haven't read all of your comments, guys, but what Rashad just said stings. They said, basically, to me, I guess you have to spend money to make money. If that's my dream, I'll have to spend more for the quality or hire real musicians, point blank. Love that you're here. No judgment. However, I hear that a lot, and I really disagree with that statement. I do not believe that you need to spend money to make money. If what you're doing does not make money, you need to do it differently, or you need to choose a different career. Now, obviously, you're here because you want to learn the right music, and you're here because you want to get better at your craft. Awesome. Use what you have. There's so much free software out there. There's no excuse to spend money to make money. Now, once you use your free resources to make money, then you can invest a small portion of what you've made into the business and into improving. And then if you maintain that over time, you will acquire better gear, better instruments, etc. And then you can continue to improve. Because I guarantee that if I were to hand you every one of my resources right now, 15, 16 years into this thing, you wouldn't know how to use them. You wouldn't even come close to using the capacity of what these items can do, because you haven't had the time, the sweat equity of actually spending time with them and learning how everything works. The only reason I know how a compressor works is because I never had one. And then as soon as I got one, I saved up. I spent on a hardware compressor. I was so excited about it that I experimented, right? And I learned how to use it. The reason I know how to use an EQ is because I've used the same plugin for 10 years. You know what I mean? And I know it in and out. And that's kind of what I'm getting at is don't spend money unless your client pays for it. Ha ha ha. That's kind of my new statement. I have not bought any music gear in about 7 years. Let that one sit for a moment. I have not bought any music gear in 7 years. And I'm a professional composer who makes 100% of the money and supports my large family through this. So you're probably thinking, oh, wow, he has really old gear. No, I have a lot of modern gear. However, I never pay for it. My clients pay for all of my things, because if it's a real need, I can put it in a line item and the client will pay for it, because I can justify to them why that item will improve their project significantly more than me not having it. I've done that so many times. Just saying. Anyway, moving on. Back to the art. I love this. And that's so cool how this is it. Like, I'm just filling in the gaps. Cool. We do the 7/8 bar, and then here I'm gonna have to compose something proper here because I haven't written a melody or anything yet. So that I actually have to do the work. But you kind of see what I'm talking about here, how I've literally just copied and pasted, and I just doubled the length of my track by filling in the gaps, but in a intelligent way. I'm not done yet though. I can't just get away with that. It doesn't make any sense. What I do need to do though is start small. So really all I have to do, now that everything's chopped up, I just go through and pick and choose what doesn't need to be there the first time around. So these glissy things, let's get rid of them. And actually, let me be better and just grab my mute tool here. I can just go through and X out things I don't want. So my mentality here is, what can I live without for this still to make sense? So I'll definitely get rid of the strings. What else can I live without for the first time around? I'll get rid of spirit bells. Let's get rid of tambourine. I'm trying to get rid of things that add intensity, and they can be added in the second time. Let's keep the drums. Let's get rid of the hand drums. Get rid of the tremolo of the lute. Keep the hurdy-gurdy. That's kind of the main event here. And let's watch the intensity rise. Here's a moment where I have thrown too much at once. And I think by elongating my pre-existing music, it's going to make this a better track because it's going to be more engaging, because you feel like the track's actually moving and developing instead of just being section, 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 section. And when I first started composing, man, my music, it was not bad music. I'm actually quite proud of it. However, I had no understanding of development. I had no understanding of allowing your music time to breathe, time to grow into something. And if you start too loud with too much things happening, you're not giving you're not allowing people the attention to even hear the cool line that you wrote for the hurdy-gurdy, right? Because they're too focused on the cello line or the choir or something else is taking their attention. So if you can take a little bit more time, it's less work and you get more mileage out of what you're doing. So let's do the same thing here, because I do double it over here. I did the copy and paste. So I feel like the choir is like too much to start off with. Let's see what else we can get rid of. Probably keep the hand drums. I don't know. I just feel like I can get rid of a lot of these items. Let's find out. for a second. It feels like a new section, even though it's exact same music. But by reducing a layer, several layers, it just adds more intensity to something we've already expected. Which is like this chug in the background, which is all just a G, just hanging out there. So I do feel like now that we've added the choir, the first section does need the hurdy-gurdy because that's kind of the main focal point. And I don't know, I might end up changing it or do a bit more here in the second half. But let's listen to that again now with the hurdy-gurdy. So this is now a B section followed by a repetition of the B section, but with the choir. Fix this up a little bit. I like the drone, but I don't like the high notes. And I'm gonna have to clean these up. I don't like these. Going on with my choir. I think I have there it is. See this little blob? By doing my copying, I accidentally held a sustain pedal. To answer your question from earlier, from Tristan, yes, this is Requiem Light. I'm telling you, it's the least expensive choir on the market, and it's been out for 10 years, but it's still my favorite. It only does two things. It does the ahs, the ohs, the a's, whatever. It does all the vowels for men and women. You can do separate, like divisi for each part, soprano, alto, tenor, bass, or you can do shouts in a bunch of different Latin syllables. So what I do is I create my own little, I'll show you. I create my own phrase, the phrase builder. So down here, you can kind of open it up. Uh-oh. There we go. And notice how it's a sustain note, then a staccato note. Sustain note, staccato. So what I've created, it doesn't make any sense with the lyrics, but essentially it's doing a short note, long note, short note, long note. And you can do that however you want. So I have a separate ah patch, and then I have the shouts patch. And that way I can go back and forth. They have the same effects and stuff on them. That way I can throw some shouts in there, which is pretty cool. It's only 6 now. I got a little carried away here. I love this line. It's so much fun. So what I'm going to do, so I chose to repeat this one, but I think I'm going to repeat the chugs. I like that a lot. So let me just do that again. maybe I could be a little bit more interesting with what I choose to do. And I have a low piano below that to give more clarity, because the octave down, the 8VB cello is a little muddy, but that's just kind of the nature of it. Didn't write this. I have to actually write a part now. This makes me think of Lord of the Rings. Or like Final Fantasy. It's a very powerful classical choir, if that's what you're after. I got to rewrite this part here because now I've just botched it up with all the copying and pasting. Should be pretty easy. Epic boss battle. If you ever want an epic choir, use a lot of 2 chords, a lot of seconds. Avoid those thirds. So I'm doing C2s instead of C minors. I do a lot of inversions. That way they don't clash because they're not minor seconds necessarily, but you can do that too if you want some minor ninth chords. Super powerful in the choir. Delicious. All my instruments are off now. Too much too soon. It's kind of the theme of today. Don't do too much too soon, or else you lose the power. of those for a sec. Can't hear anything. It's recorded 3 violins. They're not in tune or anything, but it kind of adds to the humanity. I just don't even care about pitch these days. It matters to be in tune, but when you're playing live instruments, they're not samples, and so like a little bit of out of tune is okay. It adds so much humanity. There we go. They were way off. Doesn't help the word 7/8, so it's hard to find my bars. There we go. So attitude that is, but it matches, it fits. Like that's what happens when you record live strings. They're usually not super in tune. You usually have to do some kind of pitch correction, or just leave it and just enjoy. Okay, cool. Got more to work with here. Cool. It's gonna be really cool. Let me get this harp in the right spot. I love that harp so much because it gives me such an easy transition. Because normally in an orchestra you use like a big cymbal, or in epic music you use a big swell, whoosh, that kind of thing. But we don't have that in this context, so just use a harp. And what it does is it pulls in the and of the 4 to the 1, and it just so seamlessly connects section A to section B. And all of these sections, honestly. It works so great. Isn't that cool? Get yourself a harp. I can't sell you mine because it's family heirloom. The piano, it's totally fake, and that's the point. It's supposed to help fill in the frequencies that are the clarity that's missing from that octave. The client hasn't told me to get rid of it yet, and it totally went unnoticed in the first round, so I'm just gonna keep it. So if you're watching this video, I guess the secret's out. Because he wanted all period pieces, but when you start screwing up stuff like, you know, putting a pitch bend on a cello, you know, we're kind of entering production world where, okay, fine. At least I didn't resort to a synth bass, which is what I normally would have done. You can kind of hear it, right? But listen to that, look how muddy it is. But that's okay when you put them all together. Okay, somehow I've made this super long, and I'm okay with that. It just means that I need to change up the layers. Huh. Yeah, let's just build it out with the violins. Sounds good. See, I'm just kind of steadily escalating. Also, a pretty cool Cubase feature that I've come to enjoy is when you open up any singular MIDI track, it solos it. That way you can just hear that for that couple seconds that you're editing something. Pretty cool. See? What I just noticed is that that the choir, I'm treating it like a hemiola. I'm writing the choir as if it's in 4/4 because it's just whole notes essentially, and so it enters on the offbeat. But I kind of like that. I don't even want to mess with it because it throws you off so wildly without a click. It's so hard to know where the beat is. I'm gonna listen to that again because that's pretty cool. Yeah, cool. I'm liking this a lot. So now for this last 25 minutes, let's see how I can create this E section. And I guess we did it, right? I guess we figured out how to double the A, double the B. That's pretty cool. Let me check the B again. I don't know how I feel about that. Oh yeah, okay. I can play around with that a little bit later to get that hurdy-gurdy melody solid. I love it. Guys, I'm like in a candy shop right now. I know it. But I love how much power these two simple things. Like, look at my template. The first half is all sample instruments that will be live, with the exception of these 3 drums. That's it. And the choir. Everything else is gonna be live. But this two simple things that you can go buy or make: a horror harp, which is, in my case, it's a harp that's been strung with guitar strings, and super detuned, right? It's just something, it's that low frequency by putting a ton of reverb on it and then doubling it with the wood flute, or like your breath. Look, this is, let me put out the recorder. Check it out. This is all the effects. Do you hear that? Like that's because whistling. You need an instrument. Let me make sure that you can actually hear it. That cool? I think it's super cool. So here it is together. So it's not quite the same thing as reverb. Reverb, you know, it duplicates what you've already done, but when you add these extra little atmospheric wind sounds, it just puts you in a new place. And especially in a moment like this where we don't have a big boom or whatever to help, you know, mask a section change, just having the harp into the, it helps like give a cushion. It's like the bottom dropped out. The B section is now falling into section C, but we have a soft cushion that catches us. And what it does is it kind of subconsciously creates a smooth transition where otherwise there isn't one. And just for fun, let me mute those two tracks. Listen to what happens if they're not there. It's so sparse. Crazy? Just is such good glue. That's really funny. It's like stop singing. Let me I mean, they gotta breathe, but come on. I usually like to give an eighth note in any tempo. An eighth note to breathe. That way it sounds like humans. I'm very grateful to have sung in choirs, so I know the importance of breath. It doesn't help that I, you know, copy and pasted and kind of screwed up some of these timings, but let's try it again. So close. Anyone can go, right? It doesn't take long. Is there like a sustain pedal screwing this up? What's going on? Yeah, that's what it was. That's dumb. Sustain pedals can really get you in trouble. That was the wrong note. Cool. All right, just made it a little bit more human. I think that's my favorite part. Gotta be really careful here not to lose too much energy. I love this concept of space and allowing the cello and bass to kind of breathe a little bit, not to be constant 16th notes. So I don't know. Well, no wonder they're not even playing the same thing. He got moved. That explains it. So I got to check your MIDI. When you're doing all this copying and pasting, not to make careless errors. Where'd my piano go? Telling you that piano really helps. Oh, let's do that. Let's see if what it does on the bottom. Honestly, I'm just going to continue that line. There's no reason not to. And notice how I added notes. You can easily write something like that. And duplicate it. And that might carry over pretty well. Until, oh, my outro thingy moved. Looks like we're too far, so let's do that. See if that works. Just have some connective tissue between the two. But as soon as that outro starts, I do want these to go away. Let's see if that connects well. Sure does. It's in the same key too. Let's quantize those notes to be on the beat. Thank you. I'll work on that hurdy-gurdy melody later, off the camera, so I don't bore you to tears. Get like a brooding accordion line in here. I have an accordion player. I need to like probably add some more layers in here, but might as well. Yeah, 4 bars of this. Take it. Build. Yeah, it's gonna be really cool. And I like that the accordion kind of just keeps going, because it creates a little bit more dissonance as the choir keeps rising. So I need to do more with the percussion down here, since they're not even doing much. Exhausting to play. Alrighty, quantize all that, and notice I don't like perfection. Perfection is stupid. It's not human. I like to play in my parts, especially when it's percussion. Wrong notes and everything, because there really are no right notes when it comes to percussion, because they're just different drums within the context. Make that 16th notes. So I made a few mistakes, so I'm going to go back and just copy and paste that. 4 bars of mistakes and just replace it with good 4 bars. Let me end on one big hit. Cool. Hey, welcome, Carlos. Welcome to the end of the stream. We've got about 10 minutes left. I know we can finish this. Let's do it. Let's get my deep drums in here. A little bit more rhythmic. Quantize those. I have the same pitches on my lower drums as well, so I can just do that. Merge it all together. Looks like I'm missing some. It's a love-hate thing with Cubase. It's a cool feature. Don't know if it's always the best. I don't think there's a way to turn it off. If anybody knows, let me know. If I can turn off the overlaying layers. I mean, it's you like that. See how I copied it over and it's like slashed lines. So now there are 3 different layers and I have to go into my glue to actually merge them. So I don't hate it. It's just extra step. About to get some shouting choir up in here. Better use of the violins. I like that effect. Helps connect. It's a great connective tissue whenever you want to connect 2 things in a horror type soundscape. Man, get some violins and just do some glisses. I like this section, but it's still missing some oomph. Still missing some, well, probably some tambourine, honestly. That has helped a lot in other sections. So let me grab, I don't need to re-record anything. I have so much material already. Let me just grab this one from the very beginning. I liked that energy, and we're about to go back to the beginning anyway. So with the loop, probably around here. Isn't it amazing how much energy a stinking tambourine adds? I'm telling you, stop buying sample libraries and freaking buy a tambourine. 20 bucks. I can be more interesting here. I think I'm gonna keep the ostinato in the bass and the piano here at the very end, but I think this section would be really cool if I just double this ascending line. And I think the accordion, we'll have to change his notes in a second. It's a better fit. It's just clashing too much. It doesn't sound cool. So let's get... Right now it's just a G minor, Mixolydian, A flat, B flat, kind of thing. Don't want to be cheesy. Let's mirror it here. Let's just do G's. Keep it a pedal. G minor 7. That way we get back to that main motif, and it's not, this is like a filler. This helps. Boom. in a situation like this where it's just super repetitive, find, you know, 2 bars that you like. Just copy it a bunch of times because it's all the same, essentially. Notice that I'm not like clicking and doing mice and crap. I mean, nothing against if you write like that. It's just slow, and when you use your own velocities, it's more musical, faster and musical. That's a win. Double that with the piano. Oh man, my first note. You know it's bad when you can read this tiny note and see that it's off. That's crazy. And these are tiny, even on my screen. Yep, been doing this a while. All right. So now let's copy that to piano. And here are the 3 of them together. There we go. Oops. Wow. This looks like my first. It's okay. We can redeem this moment. There we go. Notice I threw that F note in there to make it a G minor 7 instead. That way just has a little bit more interest going on. It's a cool kind of reset back to the beginning style without all of the energy. Some loot in here. Haven't used it for him. I'll double that with the accordion down here. Oh, we have like a higher pitch. You know what we're missing from this mix? We're missing the horror harp. How could I forget? Here's a good one. We'll just put it on every 4 beats and watch the magic happen. Ooh, and now that I brought it up, let's get some of these moments that have horror harp. I don't want to like copy and paste the exact same one. So let me get these 4 in a row. These were all live. Like I just recorded the entire track in one sitting with each instrument. The wood flute. So these are not all just copied and pasted. They're actual, each one's unique. So I can take this, drag it over. This is one thing I'm not good at in Cubase yet. Is like, move. Logic never gave me that scrolling trouble, but whatever. I'm going to put it right there and watch the magic. I love it. Love it, love it, love it. That's so cool. I know I'm like toot my own horn here today, but this is not stuff I usually do, and I was really happy to find that combo. I was very, very surprised that I don't need the big cymbals and the big drums. I just taking 2 basic instruments that are in my house and just, you know, doing my thing. It's so effective. And I haven't even used the hurdy-gurdy yet, so that's kind of the last element here. A lot of cool possibilities here. I really want to sneak this into this E section. So we're at least holding a drone. Should be. It's a G, which is good. Go back to the beginning. Cool. All right, guys, this was a lot of fun, and look what we did in an hour and a half. We took a 2-minute track and turned it into 4 minutes. Now, it's not 100% done. There's still some tweaks in there I need to make, especially with the hurdy-gurdy, because I do still want that to be a little bit more central. You can kind of see how there's still some missing space that I could really feature something there, because most of this is harmonic from E till the end. So I'm gonna try to sneak some things in there. Didn't like what I just played, but I'm gonna experiment a bit more off camera, but you kind of see how it's very possible. Most composers write too much. They just need to simplify, pick a couple of the ideas and elongate them and develop them a little bit more. So I'm excited about this. It's gonna be a ton of fun, especially once we get live musicians on board really soon to record this and the previous track. But let me play what we have as I close up today. Thank you guys for hanging out. I didn't get to all your questions, but if you still have questions, please, in the replay, once this is up on YouTube, please do leave a comment. I love answering your questions and to be as helpful as I possibly can. So thanks for hanging out for this Bloodborne style boss battle number 2. Hope you had fun. Let me know what you think, and hope you enjoy as you listen